Aaron and his family completed moving into their new house by the 4th week after their talk that night. Image here. After he bought the house, he also bought 2 cars for his family to use for their use. Image here. His parents are very happy, as they now don't have to worry about rent and other miscellaneous things. When he showed the house to his parents, they asked him to buy a normal one because it was very expensive. He managed to make them agree when he told them that he chose this house because it will make it easier for his younger brother to have access to better schools around here. The house was a 6-bedroom with a ground, an upper floor, and a basement. They were currently using only 3 rooms, one for his parents, one for him, one for his younger brother, and the rest was for guests and other things. As for the basement, it was his for use, and he was using it as a location for his home server. Since normal servers are noisy and create too much heat, he needed to soundproof the entire basement. Also, because they generate too much heat, he also installed cooling for the entire basement, an event that can redirect the heat so that it doesn't make the heat head to the house. But all those were overkill because the server he bought was quite a quiet one. It contained dual Intel Xeon processors with a terabyte of RAM and 10 2TB SAS hard drives in RAID 10 for storage. For those who don't understand those jargons, it means he can run multiple virtual machines, host his own websites, and even set up his own cloud storage system. And with the 10 gigabit Ethernet network card and the Adaptec RAID controller, he can transfer data at lightning-fast speeds. It's like having his own personal data center right here in his basement. But he will only be using it for running Bug Zapper on multiple virtual machines at once. He will be accessing all of this in his workroom upstairs by using the 10 gigabit Ethernet network connection. He also connected his house with cable connection of the highest speed he could buy, which provided download speeds of up to 505 megabits per second and upload speeds of up to 100 megabits per second. For 2013, that was really fast. This means he was capable of doing everything while sitting in his workroom. After he and his family finished moving to the new house and moving his brother to the new school, they started to get used to their new life. Aaron decided to give both his father and mother $1 million for their use, since he asked them to quit their demanding jobs and enjoy their lives. Approximately 1 month after his deal with Facebook, he finally finished moving, handling few small problems. He finally had time to start meaning more money using Bug Zapper, but all that had to wait for him to finish jogging. Ding! Quest complete.
Rewards 100 szkoły podstawowej.
Total 29. 600 SP. Aaron stopped running after he finished his quest. He was tired, but not like when he started doing the quest the first time, but now he was getting fit and started getting used to the system. He was expecting for the system to upgrade the quest very soon. Aaron could be seen sitting in his workroom in front of his new computer connected to his home server. He started working for the first time in a long time. Since he upgraded his computer system to the latest specs, he could run multiple virtual machines at once, meaning he could check multiple programs at once. So he started looking at which social media companies he should check next. But since he already investigated when he chose Facebook, he chose Google and their products. That means he will take a look at YouTube, Google+, and the Google site itself. He chose them at once in order to be able to sell it to them at once for a high price. After choosing his next victims, he fired up the programs and he started it in multiple virtual machines and just waited for the machine to do its magic. And the waiting game began. While the machine was doing its magic, he went downstairs to play and spend time with his younger brother. Since they were new to the area, he only managed to make a few friends in the neighborhood. Aaron opened his eyes, waking up from his sleep due to the annoying alarm on his right side of the bed. He then felt someone squirm and, after a short adjustment moment, he remembered that it was his younger brother who had fallen asleep on his bed after watching a movie together last night. Aaron turned off the alarm so as not to wake his brother up, then headed to the bathroom to wash his face and prepare himself for his morning exercise routine. After 10 minutes of preparation, he headed out of the house and started with his jogging. After he finished his morning exercise routine, he was surprised that the normal quest complete was followed by a new notification. Ding! Milestone achieved.
Reward 10 000 szkoły podstawowej.
Quest update. Ding! New quest. Daily quest. Ways to get stronger. 250 push-ups, 0/250. 250 crunches, 0/250. 250 squat, 0/250. 10 kilometers running, 0/10.
Rewards 500 szkoły podstawowej.
It was the upgrade of his daily quest. It also came with an increase in rewards of a magnitude of 5. This made Aaron happy because it means that the more he gets stronger, the more his rewards become, meaning that there might come a time where he can earn 100,000 SP per daily quest, although he might need to run to the moon and back for that, but who says we can't have hope, right? So, anyway, there is hope at least. After he returned, he cleaned himself, ate breakfast, and headed to his workroom. When he entered and started checking his computer to look at how the process went, he found out that the process had been completed 3 hours ago, and it also completed writing the reports for the 3 apps. So, he started to look through the 3 documents, and it took him a little longer since they were really long. After approximately 5 hours, he finally managed to complete reading through all of the files. He discovered that many of the critical security breaches are near the same as Facebook, but with Google they were more harmful if it was used negatively. For example, there is a critical security breach that makes any account security on Google products almost obsolete. Another critical breach gives him access to any person's Android device. This means that currently he was no different than any admin of Google. It's the opposite, actually. He had more access than any admin for Google. Aaron kept finding more and more weaknesses that kept getting worse and worse, meaning that he could make Google lose half its market share if he wanted. Being able to do that means that Google will pay them enough to make them have no thought of causing harm to them. Since he managed to find a good exploit, he needed to exploit it for his use. He started by accessing Google's servers to get access to their email depository. When he managed to access them, he searched his professor's email, and when he found it, he proceeded to initiate downloading all of his email to his home server. Since his download speed was fast, 500 MB, it will take about 20 hours to complete its download. Because he needed to make sure no one is suspicious of what he is doing, he needed to make the emails he was downloading act just like normal emails being sent. So he set a limit on how many of them can be downloaded at once. Although he won't be leaving behind any traces, downloading something from a server means that anyone looking at the server's memory usage while it is happening can discover that a massive amount of data was being downloaded to somewhere they cannot trace back to. But after he completes downloading what he wanted, he can delete its history from the server's memory, making it seem like he was never there. That is the reason he had to limit the download amount at once. And the waiting game began, with the anticipation of getting more information about how his professor planned for his fall. But while the download was going on the background, he started using the waiting time to do something with the same importance or more. So, he started using the breach he found in Android to access the professor's phone. He managed to find the phone because he had the professor's phone number, since it was given to everyone in his class in order to contact him in case it was needed, but no one does that because he doesn't answer the numbers. He didn't register himself, so it was useless to him until now. After he got access to the phone, he started downloading everything he can from the phone as well, but this will have to take longer because he needed to make the download speed slow enough that the phone doesn't overheat or make his internet too slow, so that it doesn't make the professor suspicious of his device. He teaches computer engineering, so if he gets suspicious, it is game over. He will just factory reset the phone completely just to free himself from doubts.
59,600 szkoły podstawowej.
That is the current amount of SP that he had after the computer completed checking for weaknesses from the 3 apps. I hope I can get all the answers when I'm done with this, thought Aaron, while he was waiting for the emails and phone info that was being downloaded. So, while he was waiting for the download to complete, he decided to move to Apple's iOS. So he opened one of his virtual machines and started the app after he selected Apple as the next system to search. As the program started doing its things, he opened the shop in order to prepare for his plan, so that he knows how much he needed to collect for his next project. When he went to the technology section, a limitlessly long list appeared. Shop, quantum computing, artificial general intelligence, fusion energy, nanotechnology,
Universal Printer.
space elevators, anti-aging technology, bioprinting, terraforming, force fields, quantum computing, quantum encryption. The list goes on, and it overwhelms him. But as he was looking at the endless list, something finally clicked on his head. He needed to write everything himself. For example, when he bought Bug Zapper from the system taught him how to make something like so, had to code it by himself, which took him days in front of a computer to complete it. The reason it took so long was because he needed to code every function to the last one, using the current existing programming language, which was very inefficient. The original program was written in a very advanced tech, but when he had to rewrite it, he needed to write them with current existing programming languages, so it took him a long time. So, he was reminded that he needed an efficient programming language that he could use to program everything that he will learn from the system. The efficiency will not only save him time, but also make him avoid many programming language weaknesses that were being discovered by his bug zapper day and night. It will also increase the efficiency of his programs, and because that will also increase his program's efficiency. So he searched for programming languages from the shop. And oh God, a list did it show? Arcturon, a programming language designed for controlling drones and other autonomous vehicles in extreme environments, with features for real-time data processing and adaptive decision-making. Cryoscript, a language designed for use in cryogenic computing, with features for managing the temperature and energy requirements of hardware. Echo, a language designed for use in acoustic computing, with features for processing and analyzing sound waves to create interactive interfaces. Hyperion, a language designed for creating immersive virtual and augmented reality experiences, with features for real-time rendering and advanced physics simulations. Omega, a language designed for use in quantum computing, with features for managing and manipulating qubits and quantum algorithms. Prism, a language designed for use in bioinformatics, with features for processing and analyzing large-scale biological data sets. Sentinel, a language designed for use in cybersecurity, with features for threat detection, network analysis, and anomaly detection. Terraform, a language designed for creating complex simulations of ecosystems, with features for modeling environmental processes and interactions between organisms. Vertex, a language designed for creating complex mathematical models and simulations, with features for handling large-scale datasets and advanced algorithms. Zenith, a language designed for creating artificial intelligence and machine learning systems, with features for managing large-scale datasets and training neural networks. The list goes and goes almost endlessly, but every language has a specific use, so he decided to make it more simple for him to choose. That's when he decided the listing to be listed from max to min by price range. That's when some weird programming languages that he couldn't even use currently due to its knowledge being very expensive to even think about buying it. Arcanum, a programming language that uses runic symbols to create magical spells that can control technology and manipulate data. RuneScript, a language that uses runic symbols as a form of syntax, with features for creating complex algorithms and managing large-scale data sets. WIRD, a language that uses ancient Nordic runes to create spells and incantations that can manipulate data and control machines. Eldertongue, a language that uses Celtic runes to create algorithms that can simulate natural processes and model complex systems. Futhark, a language that uses Scandinavian runes to create complex programs that can interface with and control a wide range of machines and devices, from simple robots to advanced artificial intelligence systems. They continued more and more as if it was endless, so he decided to remove runic tech from the list so that he doesn't get depressed about his SP poorness. After removing the runic ones from the equation, the best programming languages a human can use without magic started appearing. Prometheus ++ wink with a frown, the Titan who was known for his intelligence and creativity, and who is said to have given fire, and thus knowledge, to humanity. C. A programming language fro? Snake. A programming language fro? There were many more, but he chose the one in the top most list as it was the most expensive one, if you don't count the runic programming languages. When he clicked for description, it appeared fully for him, and details did it have. A powerful and versatile language designed to be used for everything from web development to scientific computing. With features like just-in-time compilation, static type checking, and garbage collection, Prometheus ++ is optimized for high efficiency and performance. Prometheus ++ is built with multi-platform support in mind, so it can be used on a variety of devices and operating systems. Its modular architecture makes it easy to write, manage, and debug code, and its functional programming support and concurrency features allow for powerful, efficient computation. Prometheus ++ is also designed with extensibility in mind, allowing developers to add new features and libraries as needed. And with compatibility with existing languages and frameworks, it's easy to integrate Prometheus++ with existing code and projects. Prometheus++, clean and intuitive syntax makes it easy to learn, reducing the learning curve for developers. Whether you're building a web app, creating scientific simulations, or anything in between, Prometheus++ has the power and flexibility you need to get the job done efficiently and effectively. Price frowny face $150,000. He was surprised by the price of it, because it was way too cheap for its benefits. That was when he remembered that the system was there to help him. Them putting a price on something is to make sure that he uses them to their full potential, and make sure that he bought something for its usefulness for him, not because he just can. As some guy from the past once said, you always put importance on something you worked hard for. If it is readily given to you freely, you won't know its importance. Sun Tzu, maybe. So the system is making something that will be used as his foundation for all of his future projects as a gift, or maybe the system deemed them useless enough to sell it cheap. But who knows? After deciding that he is going to buy it the moment he gets the needed amount of SP. He expected that all it would take him is to use Bug Zapper for about 10 to 15 times on heavy systems to earn that amount, as he currently already has about 600 SP, so he wasn't that far. After deciding his next path, he closed the store and continued doing his work of reading the email that had already been downloaded by his computer. Since if he decides to wait until they finish downloading, he will spend a few days doing nothing. So, he better start now and continue as they keep being downloaded. Currently, as was reading the emails, most of them were normal conversations between colleagues, but some of them gave some spice info, like how he once had hemorrhoids. He learned about that in an email to his doctor. He is also cheating his wife with his secretary. That came from a conversation between the professor and his current lover, the secretary. The reason they conversed using mail is because he wanted to avoid his wife catching him by snooping on his phone, so he used emails so that he doesn't get caught. As she won't look at his emails because who uses email for cheating, right? As for the reason he was cheating, it was because he feels emasculated. He was forced to take his wife's family name, not the other way around. He got the job at his current university because she pulled some strings. That's why he was so eager to present his new discovery, so that he can at least prove his worthiness, to the point that he ended up missing a very simple mistake which led to Aaron pointing out and fucking up his graduation once and for all. Aaron was fuming with anger when he found out that all of this was just chain of some fucker, just because he felt his dick wasn't appreciated enough. Although he was shaking with anger, he had to calm himself down and continue with his reading of emails, as he needed as much information as possible. Have you ever been so angry that you become calm? That was the situation he was in. This was caused by what he was currently reading. Secretary, are you okay? Professor, no, I'm not. That kid destroyed my shining moment. Secretary, so, are you not going to solve it and present it again? Professor, no, I can't do it now because my wife will need to invite those people again in a short time, and this will make them annoyed by me. Secretary, so what's your plan next? Professor, Secretary, you said that was the only way for you to be accepted to her family. Professor, I will need to find another way for that. Secretary, which is? Professor, not important now, but first I need to deal with that fucker student. Secretary, oh, so what are going to do with him? Professor, I looked at his university information and it seems that he is graduating in 3 weeks. So, I'm going to mess with graduation. I'm going to make sure he can't graduate from anywhere or get a job in any reputable company. Secretary, isn't that too harsh? Professor, no, I need to burn him to soothe my anger, else I might go crazy. This was the conversation between the professor and the secretary she was cheating his wife with. After a week of investigation, here is what he found out. The professor's insecurity caused him to want to stand on his own without his wife's support, hence the new invention. But when the day of presentation came, he found out that it was his wife's prestige and her invitation was what made all those reputable people in the technology business attend his presentation. He was emasculated and wanted to vent it on someone. So, when he found out Aaron was sleeping during his presentation, he chose to vent his anger by watching him embarrass himself. But when Aaron pointed out a dumb mistake he made, he lost his last chance to prove himself in front of his wife's family. In other words, he felt dickless. So he decided to destroy Aaron's life. because he was the reason for his shame, and he thought that by destroying his life, he can be ashamed less or know that there is someone miserable than him. So, he hired someone to do a background investigation on Aaron, and when he found out that he comes from a low-income family, and he was only able to study at the university only due to the scholarship he won, meant that he could destroy his life without having to worry about a retaliation from Aaron. So he paid the background investigator to fabricate his thesis by making similar ones and making them seem like they were there years before Aaron even knew the meaning of the word thesis. After that, he requested to be added to the thesis review committee, and then when he was reviewing theses and arrived at Aaron's thesis, that's when he revealed that he had already read a similar thesis before, nearly word for word. When they asked for evidence, he showed them the sites that his investigator had managed to put them on. So, he managed to turn the professors against Aaron, and this led to Aaron being dismissed from the university just 3 days before he graduated. After he was expelled, the professor felt that it was not enough and decided to make sure that he was deep in debt so that he doesn't overcome poverty for a long time. Hence, he decided to write a message to the scholarship department and ask them to increase his interest rate for his repayment to the maximum amount of the agreed terms, which was 15%. But when the scholarship committee head denied his request, he ended up threatening him in order to get him to approve it, but he was denied again. A few days later, he was fired due to some random reason. And the one who came next agreed immediately. That was why it took them a week before they sent him the email to inform him that he needed to repay his scholarship and wanted to discuss his repayment plan options. So, currently the people in his revenge list are the professor, the private investigator, and the new head of the scholarship committee. But he knew that he needed to slowly plan his revenge and make it so that they don't know who was the one messing with their lives. As they said, revenge is the dish best served cold. Sun Tzu. For the sake of wanting to know fully about his enemies, he ended up using the weaknesses from Google, Android, Apple, and Microsoft, meaning that he was currently able to earn himself money from all of these companies by reporting it and have them in return for a fair compensation. So, he decided to contact Felix. "Hello, my dearest customer." A voice came from the other side of the phone. "Am I just a customer to you now?" answered Aaron in a voice that hinted that he was hiding his cry sarcastically. "You see, in my law firm, I'm currently their golden poster, you know," Felix continued jokingly. "Then rejoice, as I have a new job for you," he said in a Dr. Fate's deep voice. "You already found another victim?" "Wow, that's fast," replied Felix as he was really surprised. "Yeah, but there are 4. Do you think you can handle it fast? Not just 1 but 4? But which companies are they?" Now he was not only surprised, but was also awed by his speed of working, because only a month and a half passed from their previous meeting with Facebook, YouTube, their parent company Google, Android, and Apple. "You think you can handle it?" "No, I can't handle it alone. I might need some help from my senior lawyers from the firm. Is it all right if I do that?" replied Felix. "You are my lawyer, so what is your advice?" asked Aaron. "As your lawyer and friend, I advise you to allow me to seek help from my seniors, as this will make the process faster, and it might even make them pay more than our previous deal with Facebook." Felix explained his reasoning why. "Okay, I leave it up to you. When will you guys be able to finish it?" asked Aaron. "It will take about 1 month to complete all of these companies if you want to have the best price. It's okay, you don't have to hurry. Just make sure you get the best compensation you can," replied Aaron. "Okay, I will. Inform me when you are done." "Okay, talk to you later," Aaron replied and ended the call. Then he started compiling the documents to provide to his lawyer when he visited him to collect it. After he finished doing that, he started opening multiple virtual machines and started running Bug Zapper in all of them and started having them search different apps' weaknesses. He was doing this in order to collect the needed amount of points in order to buy Prometheus++ programming language that he will be using it as the foundation of all of his future products. As the machine started doing its work, all that remained is for him to wait for his program to finish and for him to earn the points and buy the language for himself. A week after Facebook deal. Bluffdale, Utah. The NSA's Utah data center is located here, which is one of the agency's newest and largest data centers. Meeting room. So, what is the meeting about? It better be important, because I was preparing for another meeting with Mr. President to explain deeper about what sort of harms did that Snowden traitor did. So, this better be important or else I'm sending you to the office of the Inspector General, said the head of the Special Source Operations Directorate, Teresa H. Shea. showing that she was still stressed about the former government contractor Edward Snowden's betrayal. She had to visit the White House for like 3 times in a week just to explain the fucking same thing, again and again. For fuck's sake. Ma'am, there seemed to be a decrease in the amount of data that is being received from the social media side, replied the presenter hastily, not to make her angrier. What? Explain in details, what is the problem this time? Replied as she had almost gave up and resigned. Just as she was dealing with their biggest threat, they got another one coming. The data we were collecting from Facebook servers has decreased by about 95%, the employee started explain in haste. This started occurring around 3 days ago. When we investigated, we found out that Facebook overhauled their entire app security and the data we managed to intercept is still heavily encrypted. So, you are saying that one of our largest source of collecting intelligence has changed their security system to the one where we can't crack it? Asked Teresa. Yes, ma'am. Usually we know beforehand that they will be updating their security system and we prepare for it. But this time they did it suddenly as if they knew all their vulnerabilities and the solutions to it at once somehow, replied. So what is your response plan? Asked Teresa. Ma'am, I suggest we investigate the reason and how they did this, so that we can manage to circumvent it and be prepared for it when it happens with other companies that we collect data, replied the head of Intelligence Collection Department. Okay, we will go ahead with your plan and also find out who found those breaches and prepare a meeting with him. But put the cracking of the firewall ahead the other things, understood? Asked Teresa after giving them the direction of action to follow. The meeting was dismissed, but they didn't put the current situation into their head, as they thought that it was a passing phenomenon. Also because they were still in deep trouble from the court of public opinion after Snowden blowed the whistle, escaped to Russia and got asylum there. Putin accepting Snowden asylum request is a giant middle finger for Obama administration. Aaron continued his speed run of point earning until he completed his 17th app and finally managed to complete the needed amount of points.
170,600 tysięcznych szkoły podstawowej.
So, he forwarded them to Felix, who replied by jokingly complaining that he keeps increasing his job. Currently, Aaron was their firm's biggest customer, because they were the one negotiating the compensations with the companies in his place. Currently, they were negotiating as his proxy with Google, Apple, and other companies that he was done finding vulnerabilities. They were on the last step of negotiation with the first ones he sent them, but after he kept sending them more and more work, they decided to create a team that will only focus on dealing with Aaron's job. The team will continue focusing on dealing with Aaron's job until they completed all of the jobs Aaron sent them, which was now a total of 21 different apps. Since he already had a solution, this meant that they will be negotiating for the double the amount if they wanted the solution to them, in order to be able to solve the multitudes of problems immediately without wasting too much time on solving them themselves. So, he immediately entered the shop and pressed the buy button for the programming language Prometheus++. The moment he pressed buy, a notification he didn't expect appeared in front of him. Ding! Since the amount of information to be uploaded in your brain is too much, it is recommended that the user to be in lying position as the probability of you fainting is 100%. Commence with the upload? Yes, no. After reading the notification from the system, he immediately headed to his room after telling his mother that he will be going to sleep and not to count him in for dinner. When he entered the room, he found his younger brother playing PS3 on his room. Oh, why aren't you in your work room? Asked his younger brother in surprise, as he didn't expect him to be out now. Don't you have yours in your room? Asked Aaron. Mom said I'm using it too much, so she took it, said in a complaining tone, but also showing that he was afraid his brother will forbid him from using his console. Just make sure she doesn't catch you. Also use headphones, I need to sleep, okay? Replied Aaron. Yes, brother, I love you. He jumped up and down in happiness while hugging Aaron. After their brotherly moment, Aaron went to his bed and lied down and pressed yes button. The moment he pressed it, he immediately fainted, and the system started downloading and assimilating the knowledge into his brain slowly without causing him any damage. Also, since the system managed to make Aaron fall into a small coma to prevent him from being harmed, it also decided to use this opportunity to recalibrate and upgrade all the parts of the systems that were in his every part of the body, and also complete the implementation that will finally allow Aaron access to runes. You can think of it as the system finishing its homework it couldn't before, because during the time the system entered Aaron, it didn't have enough information of Aaron's body. So the system chose the option of only copying the function of the location they were located, as they were dispersed into every part of his body, and if they chose to act randomly, they would have done him irrecoverable damages. The main part of the system that was located in his brain started sending a request of information to its other parts in the body. When those parts received the request, they immediately responded to the request of the main system and started sending the recorded information of their respective locations. They had started the collection of it since the day they were assimilated to the location they are currently resided. The main system started receiving information it requested from every part of Aaron's body. After it received it, it started processing and analyzing it to the last of its detail. After it finished analyzing it, it started simulating the effect the changes it was planning to implement into Aaron's body. After the simulation, it analyzed the result and looked at what harms and benefits did it cause to Aaron's simulated body. Then, based from the results and reports, it changed the to-be-implemented plans a little and repeated the simulation again and again. The simulation continued to be repeated for 1 octillion times, and each simulation was used as a lesson to perfect and remove any negative effects that could cause harm to Aaron's body if it is implemented. After a few million quintillion simulations and small changes to the plan, the system finally found the perfect way to implement it to Aaron's body without giving any harm to the user's body. It then started to implement the changes by sending what part of the body to change by how much and in what way. When those parts received the information, they started following the instructions to the last letter. If anyone was capable of seeing what's going on in Aaron's body, they will discover that something like blood vessels were being formed, but the strange thing about it is that they were gold in color, also they were empty with nothing in them. They continued being formed all over his body, but also following parallel to all blood vessels, because it used them as a guiding map to reach and cover all over Aaron's body. When the changes reached to his heart, it started beating faster than normal while it was being covered by a golden light. The golden light started getting dimmer and dimmer as it was used as ink for the writing of runic letters smaller than atoms. The small letters started forming runic sentences that were being written and started to cover all of his heart. Now, I don't take you guys for stupid people, but you have to image the amount of runic lines that needed to be written in order to cover his whole heart, while the runic letters being the size of an atom. So here is the answer. An adult heart measures about 12 centimeters in length by 8 to 9 centimeters in width at the broadest part. If we assume that your heart is a sphere with a diameter of 9 centimeters, then its circumference would be about 28.27 centimeters. Atoms are extremely small, typically around 100 picometers across. A picometer is 1/trillionth of a meter. That means one atom is about 0.00000000001 meters wide. To find out how many atoms can fit around your heart, we need to divide the circumference of your heart by the width of one atom. That would give us 28.27/0.000000001 equals 282,700,000,000. That means you can write about 282 billion runic letters around your heart if they are the size of atoms. The system continued with the writing of the runic sentences all around his heart until his whole heart started shining golden. But that happened only for a short period of time, as it returned to its normal color and stopped beating for about 10 seconds. Then the runic lines that covered all of his heart lit up and the heart started beating again, but this time not only blood, but also a golden liquid started coming from it and started moving through the newly constructed golden vessels. The liquid continued to pour out of the heart and continued filling the golden vessels until they were full. Then the heart stopped generating this liquid and returned to its normal job of pumping blood. But this time the golden liquid was also being pumped just like how normal blood was being pumped by the heart. The 282 billion runic letters that were forming complex equations and runic sentences around Aaron's heart was acting as the heart for the golden liquid, doing everything from generating any lost golden liquid to regulating its amount, and much more that Aaron will discover them in the future after he manages to buy its knowledge from the system and learns how to use them to their fullest potential. Currently, we don't even know the name of the golden liquid. We can only consider it as a fancy but useless golden liquid until system tells us about it. Although the golden liquid wasn't active, it was slowly strengthening every part it was passing through. That meant that he was being strengthened every part of the body, as when the golden vessels were being made, they just run parallel to all blood vessels. The first changes were being done to the brain, as first golden liquid streams started arriving to it. This was followed by every organ. As for every round the liquid does around the body, the changes were being made. Although the changes were minuscule, they will be accumulating over time until his body is strong enough to be able to handle it when it is time to activate the golden liquid. But that is all for later. Morning. When Aaron woke up, it was already morning. This meant that he was asleep for more than 15 hours. He didn't feel the heaviness he should be feeling if you sleep for a long time. Contrary to it, he was feeling stuff like, either he goes to take a shit, or he will explode kind of stuffed. So he immediately jumped from the bed and hurried to the toilet like his life was depending on it, because to the current him, it really depended on it. When he arrived and sat on the toilet seat, he let it go Elsa style. What the fuck was that? Thought Aaron as he was opening the window of the toilet to let the shitty smell out, as the automatic air filter wasn't doing it fast enough. This all started after he ran to the toilet to settle the number 2, but what came from there wasn't what was expected at all. What came out from there was dark goo that smelt like sewage. Also, he couldn't believe the amount of it that came from his body, but all he knew was that something must have happened to him while he was asleep. But damn, that shit was smelly holy shit. Thank God everyone was asleep, else they might have wondered what was going on there. After he finished removing the goo from his body, he finally felt peace. Inner Peace Master Oogway style came to him. He said, status, in order to find out what it was the reason he needed to shit that goo thingy, because he was sure that the system was responsible for it. Status. Name, Aaron Michael. Age, 22. Height, 189 meters. System class, Runemaster. New, Runic Heart.
Shop. 26 000 szkoły podstawowej.
Quest. When he saw the new tag next to the Runic Heart, he knew it was it, so clicked it immediately. After he clicked it, a new screen appeared in front of him. Runic Heart. Status. Inactive. A special heart for Runemasters. It allows them to use all of runes in existence if you have the knowledge of it. Further information to be provided after it goes into active status. Although the starvation of details wasn't doing him any good, he knew that even if he was told more, it wasn't that helpful because the heart was in active state. After ridding the toilet of its smell, he decided to clean his body too, as he didn't know what came out of it while he was asleep. Then he left the toilet to go and begin his daily quest. As he was running, he felt like he was flying because he was almost halfway of his 15 kilometers run, but he wasn't even out of his breath. Usually he needed to rest for a few minutes before he completed the rest of it, but today he continued until he finished without even resting, and he wasn't that tired. So, he decided to continue and complete the rest of exercises before he returned home and went to prepare himself some food, as he was feeling hungry and he hasn't eaten since yesterday. After cleaning himself again and eating to his full, he finally was ready to return to his office and continue with his plan. He sat in front of his computer as he was checking the knowledge of Prometheus++ programming language in his head. The moment he thought about it, a large amount of knowledge was brought ahead with every detail on how to use it and how to build it. This meant that the moment he completed the making of the language, he will also be the most knowledgeable about it, as every detail about it was all in his head. Aaron took a deep breath, his eyes fixed on the blank screen in front of him. His head has already mapped out every detail of the new programming language. He knew exactly what it was supposed to do and how it was supposed to work. But now came the remaining part, actually bringing it to life in this universe at least. He began typing, his fingers moving across the keyboard with a fluid grace that belied the complexity of the task at hand. Lines of code flowed onto the screen, each one building on the last as the structure of the language slowly took shape. As he worked, Aaron's mind was a blur of algorithms and data structures. He had to make sure that every aspect of the language was perfectly written as was needed, that every feature was written as it was in his mind. Hour after hour, he typed tirelessly, his fingers flying across the keyboard as he wrote and wrote the code, checking it again and again until everything was just like it was. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, Aaron leaned back in his chair and gazed at the screen. There it was, the code that would bring the new programming language to the universe. He pressed a button, and the code began to compile. Aaron watched anxiously as the progress bar ticked slowly upward, his heart in his throat as he waited for the final result. At last, the compiler finished its work, and Aaron's programming language came to life. It was a moment of triumph, the culmination of 2 weeks of hard work and endless hours of dedication. It was a moment of triumph, the culmination of weeks of hard work and dedication. Aaron felt a deep sense of satisfaction, knowing that he had created something truly special. Although the system gave it to him, just let him relish the moment, guys. A language that would change the world of software development forever. That is if he releases it to the public. A downgraded version of it? Maybe, but never the full version, unless he has a better one. As someone once said, always stay ahead of others. So, he decided to try it by rewriting BugZapper using this language, which will make it faster and more efficient. As he was writing the code for it, he suddenly stopped as an idea came to his head. The idea was to make BugZapper a subscription program. So, that companies don't have to always wait for him to find and make them pay him million every time. Here is the plan. First, there was the basic plan. It was the free option and offered basic security and bug scanning for a single website once a month. It was just enough to show the program's importance and usefulness, but not enough to make them continue to use the free version. The second plan was the Plus plan. It included advanced security features, the ability to scan up to 5 times a month, and also giving the solutions, which could be useful if your business or website is small. The third plan was the Pro plan. It included everything in the Plus plan, but also offered daily website scanning and a faster response time from customer support. The daily scans are for added protection. The fourth plan was the Elite plan. It included all the features of the Pro plan, but also added more frequent scans, vulnerability checks. Finally, there was the Enterprise plan. This was the most comprehensive plan, offering all the features of the Elite plan, plus priority support and customizable reporting. He will be downgrading the one that will be released for the subscription plan to not reveal those that haven't been discovered by anyone, but the moment they are discovered it will be reported as a new bug to all user of subscription. This will emphasize the importance of having and maintaining the subscription. Companies can have access to an upgraded version of the program that is on public by using the Enterprise plan, but this has to be negotiated with him or his company that he will create, and its price will vary depending on the company's demand. BugZapper Subscription Plan. Stage 1. Free Basic Plan. Access to a limited number of bug fixes. Can report 5 bugs per month. Community support available. Limited customer support. Stage 2. Starter. $25 per month. Access to more bug fixes than the free plan. Can report 25 bugs per month. Priority customer support. Access to community support. Stage 3. Intermediate. $50 per month. Access to even more bug fixes. Can report 50 bugs per month. Priority customer support. Access to community support. Bug tracking and monitoring system available. Ability to suggest features. Stage 4. Advanced. $75 per month. Access to all bug fixes. Can report unlimited bugs per month. Dedicated customer support. Access to community support. Bug tracking and monitoring system available. Ability to suggest features. Early access to new features and updates. Stage 5. Enterprise. Custom pricing. Starts at $1,000 but increases based on their needs. Customizable plan based on company needs. Dedicated customer support. Access to community support. Bug tracking and monitoring system available. Ability to suggest features. Early access to new features and updates. Customizable bug reporting system. Customizable analytics and reporting tools. After Aaron finished making the program ready for subscription, he was reminded that the new version of BugZapper needed someone to oversee it. This meant that he needed to found a company to do it in his place. This will also help him earn SP, although it will be in small amounts, as he learned it the hard way when he was trying to earn enough to buy the programming language. After the 10th app, the amount dropped by half, and by the 20th it also continued dropping by half. From this, he hypothesized this will continue until he will only be earning 1 SP per every scan. Although it may seem small, how many websites do you think exist? That means although the amount will be small, the quantities will be compensating for it. His current plan was to make it popular enough for every website to use it at least once a month. The plan was to show its importance in website security to make every owner try it at least once. This will mean that he will be able to earn 1 SP every time someone uses his program. AFK to the death. While he was perfecting his plans for the company and its first product, he received a call from Felix. "Hello, long time no talk?" Aaron answered the phone and started the conversation. "You gave us too much work that I didn't have enough rest time to think of contacting others for the past month," replied in a complaining but happy tone. "So, why did you call me?" "I just wanted to inform you that our negotiations with companies have been completed, and the payment will be fully forwarded to you after tax and everything is paid," replied Felix. "Finally, it took you guys very long," continued Aaron with his fake complaint. "You gave us too much work, so we even had to make a team to deal with your job. But since you pay us too much money, we can't really complain anyway," laughed Felix as he was replying. "So, how much total will it remain after taxes and your payment is taken care of?" "You will find out when we send it to you, but be ready for a surprise." A teasing voice came from the other side of the phone as if it was trying to frustrate him as much as he can to vent out for the work he made them do. "If you don't tell me, I'm hanging up the phone," threatened Aaron. Krupp. Just after he finished voicing his threat, Felix ended the call immediately to make a statement. "Fuck. He got me though," Aaron as he put the phone down and continued his work as he waited for the money to start raining in his account. 5 days later, the full payment and the spreadsheet arrived to him. And here is the breakdown on who paid what. The amount below is after taxes and lawyer fees have been paid. YouTube, Google+, Android. Google itself paid as a one entity, and since Google as itself was among the companies that had the highest user base that depended on them to have the best security since their email were used by almost anyone with email, this meant that if these weaknesses were exploited, it would have almost bankrupted them, as almost every user caring to keep their secrets would have turned to their competitors. So, they forked the most money, and since they were paying for the 3 of their companies, they paid a total of $335 million. This included buying the information about weaknesses and their solutions to it, as they needed to patch it as fast as possible lest someone use it against them. Apple. They paid for both the weaknesses and solution for their iOS weaknesses for $87 million, as they put too much importance to keep their iOS as a black box. Microsoft. They were also among those who paid too much money, as they paid him $145 million for their weaknesses in Windows and the solutions to it. And oh God, was there enough bugs in it to write a book on how not to make an operating system. Sina Weibo. They paid $17 million without buying the solution. Hey decided to solve it themselves, worrying that if they buy their solution it will mean they know how their app security works, and that is not good when it is connected to the CCP, and the one who sold it to them is an American. That would put them on their radar. Qzone, as it is owned by Tencent, a major Chinese technology conglomerate. They simply forked $33 million for the same reason as the one up there. Twitter and Vine are parent companies, so they paid a joint $75 million with the solutions. LinkedIn. They paid $45 million for both problems and solutions. Instagram. Since they paid before as Facebook, they had already solved this same problem in Instagram. So, they only managed to negotiate the remaining ones that didn't exist in those found and sold to Facebook before. So, they paid only $25 million for both the problem and solution. Tumblr. They paid only $10 million because they didn't buy the solution to it. The remaining 4 paid a total of $39 million, as they were small social media sites. This brings the total of the money to $811 million, and this was after taxes and fees. If he didn't pay tax and lawyer fees, he would have more than $900 million, but brother IRS would be having a field day with him. And he wasn't ready for them. This meant he was almost a billionaire. He needed to make the money returns to the market, because the longer he has it as cash in his account, the longer inflation will be reducing their purchasing power per dollar. Also, although he already paid tax for it, he will need to continue paying tax for any interest he earns from the money if it stays in the bank. But all these thoughts were cut short when he received a phone call from an unknown number. "Aaron, hello?" "Hi, is this Mr. Aaron?" asked the voice on the other side. "Aaron, yes, speaking." "Who is this?" asked, as he didn't know who was calling him while he was relishing on his net worth. "Hi, Aaron. This is Mark from the American Bank. I wanted to talk to you about your account," said the voice on the other side of the phone. "Oh, okay. Is everything all right?" asked Aaron as he was startled by the call and thought something bad happened to his account. Bank worker, yes, everything is fine. Actually, we wanted to set up a meeting with you to discuss your account. Aaron, okay, sure. What is this about? Answered Aaron as he was sighing that nothing bad happened to it. Just think about it. Just as you become an almost billionaire, and it was immediately stolen from you. That is a suicide-level tragedy right there. Thank God it didn't happen. Bank worker, well, we noticed that you have a significant amount of money in your account, and we wanted to go over some options with you. Aaron, oh, I see. Yes, I earned a large sum of money recently. Bank worker, yes, we saw that. Congratulations, by the way. Thank you, said Aaron as he was feeling happy about it, though he replied calmly. Bank worker, we would like to send you a Black American bank card, and we need to confirm your address. Aaron, okay, that's fine. I can give you my address. Bank worker, great. Also, we would like to discuss some investment opportunities with you. Oh, I see. Well, I'm interested in investing, but I need to learn more about it first. Replied in surprise as he was also thinking about investing his money in order for it to not just remain in his account to just accumulate interest. But still he wasn't fully sure on what to invest, so he might as well meet them and hear their investment plan then decide on his plan based on it. Bank worker, that's completely understandable. We can set up a meeting with one of our investment advisors to go over your options and answer any questions you may have. Aaron, okay, sounds good. Bank worker, how about next Wednesday at 2 p.m.? Can we come to your house or a nearby establishment for a meeting then? Aaron, yes, I can make that work. Bank worker, great. We'll see you then. And once again, congratulations on your success. Aaron, thank you. I appreciate it. Bank worker, all right, have a great day. Aaron, you too. Aaron ended the call and chose to calm down a little before he continues with his work, lest he end up messing it from excitement. While he was resting waiting to calm down from his excitement, he fell asleep and dived into his imagined dream as he kept smiling in his daydream. I wonder what he was dreaming as he was drooling from his mouth with that creepy smile. A week before Aaron received his payments. While the payments will arrive a week later, the negotiations were completed 2 weeks ago, so almost all the companies spend a week at maximum to patch their weaknesses in their programs. This means that it has been a week since someone's normal day-to-day life has been messed up. Bluffdale, Utah. The NSA's Utah Data Center. This week has been like hell to those who are working here, because one after another almost 17 data collection points have been blocked. This meant that they completely lost access to almost all social media sites. This wasn't good, because some departments are sorely there to collect and analyze data from these sites. This meant that they lost almost their whole functionality in a span of a month. This all started by the loss of access to Facebook's data, and while they were trying to solve one, another 17 rose beside it. NSA conference room. Everyone in the Department of Special Source Operations Directorate was in the conference room as the meeting room wasn't large enough to allow the whole department to fit in it. The head of the department, Teresa H. Shea, stood in front of everyone and started talking. Since everyone is here, let's start the meeting. But before that, why don't you catch us on what is going on? She said as she pointed at the team leader who was the first one to report it a month ago when Facebook patched their security patches, Noah. Yes, ma'am, replied Noah as he stood from his chair, heading to the stage to take hold of the microphone and started explaining how it all started. He cleared his throat and adjusted the microphone, signaling to the crowd that he was about to begin. He started his speech by explaining the situation. It all began a month ago with Facebook, when the amount of data we were able to collect was reduced. After just 1 week, all the data that we managed to continue collecting was encrypted, and until now, we have been unable to break the encryption. Over the past week, many of the famous social media sites have started to follow suit, and we have finally reached a point where all the data we collect from nearly 17 social media sites is heavily encrypted. Just as he was about to continue, someone from the crowd interrupted and asked, "Is it Russia?" He paused for a moment and then responded by saying that we had initially thought that it was Russia. However, after conducting a joint investigation with the FBI, we discovered that some of the known Russian agents in the U.S. were also trying to find out who was behind the encryption. This seemed to be a problem to them too. Did you manage to interview any of the workers in those companies? Asked another person in the room. I was about to explain that next, said Noah. And the answer is yes, we have interviewed a few workers through the FBI, and then he proceeded to share the results of their investigation. According to the information that we have gathered, Facebook had been contacted by a man named Aaron Michael. He had set up a meeting with the company, and they had met without any problems. And when they investigated his background after their meeting, they discovered that he was a former student of Columbia University who was in his last year. He took a breath and continued. But he was expelled for thesis theft, allegedly, which left him in dire need of money. Since he was unable to get a job without a diploma and he was left with massive student debt, he turned to bug hunting and discovered that he was really good at it. So he is not a spy? Asked someone. Yep, from our investigation he is American, and so are his parents. No criminal record, and there is nothing indicating him being a sleeper agent. And after having interviews with the remaining companies that are in similar situations, our estimation is that he had earned more than $900 million from it. And with that, Noah finished his reporting. The revelation left the people in the room stunned. It was hard to believe that one person could earn so much wealth in such a short period of time. A month, without diving into illegal activities. Then Noah moved to answer the questions from the crowd, giving as much information as he could. When he finished his explanation and answered almost all their questions, he returned to his seat and waited for their head of department to give them a direction to follow. Now that everyone is up to date, let's continue with our meeting, said Teresa. The meeting continued for a little longer, with some giving their ideas on how to proceed, while others were more focused on how they would be cracking the encryption by using the powerful supercomputer in the campus. So our next plan is to break the inscription in the next month, and if we can't do that, we will have a meeting with Aaron. Dismissed. After giving them the next step to follow, he dismissed them. Then he called Noah. Yes, ma'am, replied Noah as he answered her call. Noah, tell the FBI to continue keeping an eye on this Aaron, and if foreign agents try to harm him, they should take him into their custody, okay? Said Teresa seriously. Yes, ma'am, Noah replied immediately and left to contact them. A week after he received payment, he spent most of the last week optimizing BugZapper to be ready for consumer use, as he was planning for it to be his SP farm. After he finished dealing with that, he decided to focus on what to name the company that will be used to roll out the app to consumers. Since the name of a company has to be memorable, he decided to go with Greek mythology names. He would have gone with Prometheus, but that was already taken by his programming language, and it will be difficult for people to pronounce it. He went with Gaia. In Greek mythology, Gaia is the goddess of the earth. She is often seen as the mother of all life and is associated with fertility, agriculture, and the harvest. According to the myth, Gaia emerged from the chaos at the beginning of time and gave birth to Uranus, the sky god, and the mountains. She is also considered to be the mother of the Titans, the Cyclopes, and many other creatures in Greek mythology. Gaia is often depicted as a nurturing figure who provides sustenance and protection to all living things on Earth. The reason he chose this word is because he wanted it to be a mother figure to his next business ventures that he might take. And since this will be his first company, he decided to go with that name. GI Technologies. After coming up with the company name, he didn't know what step to follow, as it was his first time. So, he decided to call his friend and ask him about it. After the call, he found out that starting a company is really complicated. So he dumped all the work to his friend to solve it for him. As he was their law firm's highest-paying customer, they will handle it for him. From what Felix told him, he needed only about a week to complete and make sure everything is in place without mistake. Next, he decided to start hunting for his CEO, as he wasn't knowledgeable about bossiness. So he needed someone who majored in that to look after his company. He called Sarah, who majored in business management. He wasn't that arrogant to want to be a CEO of a company without knowing anything about business, else he will turn the company into Theranos. Aaron, you finally remembered that I existed. Ha, a voice came from the other side. At least I called you. Why didn't you do it if you wanted to talk? I'm busy, you know, and not like you who lazes himself at home. Anyway, let's stop this, else we will argue until tomorrow. Aaron decided to call for a truce, or they might really banter until tomorrow. So, why did you call? Do you need money? Just say it, replied Sarah. Not that. I need a CEO for my company, and you are my first choice. Are up for it? Asked Aaron. What company? Explain in details first before I make my choice, and if you were joking, I'm blocking for 2 months, okay? Aaron immediately explained in details about the company and its product. They continued talking for about half an hour. But since Sarah couldn't believe what Aaron bragged about the app, she decided to visit his house in the evening to take a look at and see it herself before she makes a decision. While Aaron was waiting for his lawyer to finish the process of founding the company, he had already convinced Sarah to be his company's CEO. She agreed immediately after Aaron showed an example by using the app to vulnerability check fanbase.com website. After the results came, he hacked the site and managed to get admin access by following all the steps that were showed by the app's subscription version. When Sarah saw what the app can do, the gears in her head were turning like jet engines. Although she was not an engineer, she knew the importance of cybersecurity better than anyone because in the past she suffered hell when she messed with Aaron and he decided to mess with her. That became a good lesson to her, and she started taking Aaron's advice seriously when it came to cybersecurity. How will you verify if the user is the owner of the site or just malicious user? She asked after spending about 30 seconds of thinking. Yeah, you are right. If anyone can use it, they can use it for anything on every sites, replied Aaron as he was so focused on making the program ready for release that he didn't think about that. How about we start with only verified and approved companies at first, like the ones that we have already sold them some of the weaknesses, replied Aaron. We can also lock those companies' account to only be able to check their apps only, added Sarah. How about we also make it possible for others to apply for subscription, but they need approved credential for it, Aaron also added while hiding being happy for hiring Sarah as his CEO, as just before they even started working, she already helped him avoid a giant lawsuit that would have made him stay away from computer for life. What are the credential going to be? Asked Sarah. We can think about that later, but first we need to make it accessible for the government institutions to protect their systems, or else we will be fucked if someone used it to attack them while they are not ready for it, replied Aaron. Are they not going to be using it against the people they suspect? Asked Sarah, worried that it might be bad for the company image if it allows the government to be able to have access to all sites without warrant or anything. We will also be locking it to only their systems, so that they can't use it to infringe on other sites. That way we won't be choosing sides. Aaron added and continued. First we need to have a talk with them. Then when they are fully prepared we can start releasing it to the public. This way it will cause as little harms as possible, finished Aaron. They continued talking about how they could make the possible negative impact as much as possible. This led to them having continuous meetings for the remainder of the week until when Felix contacted them to inform them that he had completed the registry of the company. That's when Aaron was reminded how long it took for the law firm to complete the negotiations with the companies. This meant that it will take longer for his company to be able to complete the negotiations with the government. He decided to make a bold move and buy the entire law firm, so that he could have them work solely for his company and protect its interests. He decided to acquire the law firm because it specialized in tech-related cases, meaning that all the lawyers working there are either specialists when it comes to tech-related laws or are on their way to becoming that. But first he needed to do some capital infusion to his new company. That way he could make his new company capable buying the law firm for it to be able to focus solely on the company. After he infused $550 million in the company for it to buy the law firm at the price of $300 million, $100 million was for the company to create a new and latest data center for him to use it for his next planned project, and the remaining $150 million for the company to start the hiring process. 2 months later, it took Sarah a month to finally finish making everything ready and for them to start operation. The reason it took that long is because she was dealing with 2 massive projects at once, the acquisition of the law firm and the hiring and training of new employees. As for the server farm for new product development, she decided to postpone it a little until everything is stabilized and in order. During the 2 months, she managed to complete the acquisition before she completed the hiring process. So, while she continued hiring, she went forward and made the law firm start the process of contacting and beginning of the negotiations with the government institutes. Currently, the law firm was already in the middle of the negotiations with CIA, FBI, and police. But while they were negotiating with them, they received a contact from the place they were not expecting at all. The FNG NSA contacted them for cooperation on their security system. The reason Sarah left them out is because she didn't expect them to accept working with a new up-and-coming company. What she didn't know was that they were the first to know about them since they were already keeping a lookout on Aaron and his family. So, the moment Sarah and the company contacted the FBI and other agencies for meetings and negotiations, the NSA learned about it at the same time as them, and after learning about the product their company was introducing, they immediately connected the dots and found out this was the program that was causing them a hellish life for more than 4 months. And they still haven't solved it yet. Their negotiations with the NSA was smoother than a hot knife through butter. This seemed weird to Sarah because the other agencies kept prolonging the negotiations for some weird reasons. So, they managed to complete their negotiations with the NSA first even though they came last. They agreed to pay a trial fee of $15 million for a period of a month in order to test the program before they fully commit to it. And right after that, an order from the top came for all the agencies to postpone their negotiations for a month. This was when Sarah found out the reason why it took them too long than expected when they were negotiating with other agencies except the NSA. This meant that they were ordered to wait for the NSA to completely evaluate the program and comb through it for any Trojans and other malwares that could be used to harm the state, its infrastructure, or its citizens. So, she had to wait for their evaluation to be completed and be greenlit before they continue their negotiations with the other agencies. So, since one of the two things she was currently focusing on came to unexpected halt, she decided to start the currently postponed project, the server farm project. From Aaron's specifications about the project, he wanted her to invest at least $100 million of the remaining budget into the project. He also wanted it to be made with upgradability in mind for rapid upgrade when a new technology appears. This means that they will have to start by renovating the warehouses they bought, install cooling system, buy new servers, add high-speed internet connection, and more. Even with all those demands in mind, that amount was still enough to create a server farm the size of almost 4 football fields. And Aaron wanted all of it because he wanted to start the development of the next product of the company. Sarah expected it to be completed within 6 months. While all these were happening behind the scenes, Aaron was currently spending time with his younger brother on the playing field. His was with his brother, and without his parent because they went on a date after a very long time. They haven't been spending time together for a long period of time because they had to look after their family. Since his mother got pregnant on him, while his parent were 20 years, they had to start working while they were young. This meant that they haven't spent a romantic time together after the kids were born, and now, because he became rich and they don't have to work anymore, they were on a journey to rekindle their love. Looks like I'm going to have a new brother or sister in a few years, Aaron smiled as he thought about a new brother or sister. It didn't seem like it was that far away anyway, as now his parents were going everywhere together. Their happy faces have also returned and they seem to enjoy their lives now better than before. For the one who said money doesn't buy happiness, it seems like they just didn't have enough of it. Sun Tzu thought the ROB watching him play. Let's see how you will handle the difficulties coming your way. Ha 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 ha. The voice continued echoing in the void of space till it returned to its silence, as if it didn't exist at all.